Hello everyone. Welcome back to Misfits Racing League action. My name is Stryfium, here for America's Tier 2 Racing around Baku. Of course, coming from Canada, I am joined by a very good commentator in my good man, Mikau from the land down under. Mikau, how are you doing? Well, this morning, I should say.
Oh, actually, it's true. It's just you got 3 seconds left of morning here in a very wet Sydney at the moment. But good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone, wherever you may join us. If you flatter me, I'm not that good. But we're in for a real treat here tonight, guys. So Streets of Baku, already an amazing Tier 4 race. Baku's always produces something absolutely spectacular, and I can't wait to see our America's Tier 2 guys hit the track here in Baku.
20 turns of intensity. We've already seen one very hectic race today in the Tier 4 division, and of course coming in here for round 8. It's a very different circuit to where we came from last week in Silverstone, and then next week we'll be going through to a very winding circuit in Hungary for round 9. Following that, Singapore, another street circuit, and we have a little bit of a break following that, France, Spain, Austria, Mexico, and then the final round, the finale, if you will, in Brazil for the 15-round season that we've got here for Season 5 action. And with that, let's take a quick look at the standings before we jump into racing here around Baku. It is Dieg Surf with 123 points right now, leading Johnny Disco, who has 92 points in second position for McLaren. Vlad Putin with 87, Graz with 69, and Hanners with 59, rounding out the top 5. Alfa Romeo, McLaren, and Red Bull in the same order of the drivers. The Constructors' Championship. Alfa Romeo with 174 points over McLaren's 118. So McLaren a little bit of a lifting to do, and at the moment Alpine scoreless in the division now. Well, Mikau, with that, we're just about ready to go racing here in Baku. I'm very excited to go around this Baku after today. We had some wet weather in the qualifying session. It was a wet to dry qualifying followed by a dry race here in Baku. We saw a VSC, and well, not just a VSC, it was a VSC that converted itself into a safety car following the crash of our, well, in that division, the at the time championship play punk. So dramatic race. Now we're here in Baku, sun shining, and things look to be ready for 18 minutes of qualifying.
Well, I like to say there's not a cloud in sight next to the shores of the Black Sea. 6-kilometer circuit, 20 turns, and it has some very iconic sections of tracks, such as the dreaded castle section at turn 8, and as well as what I've famously dubbed the esports corner at turn 15. Those two sections very hard to get right, but there's also a lot of time to be found in that first set of those 3 left-handed 90-degree corners to really make up a lot of time that can really make or break your lap strip, as we have some cars coming out onto the circuit.
It's funny you mentioned turn 15, Nick. Yeah, you know all about it, considering the rich history of that corner and yourself here as an original in Season 1 of the MRL. But we won't go into that. That was quite some time ago. You wouldn't, it's hard to believe how long ago that was now. But Blind heading out in the Williams on a...
Almost 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's been quite some time. And shout out to Zmayo for... well, I doubt he'll catch
for putting me in the wall.
For putting Mick in the wall, yeah. Is there video evidence of that somewhere? Maybe. Very well could still be video evidence of that somewhere.
There actually is, I think. If you go looking hard enough. But anyway, Zamayo on that occasion showing us how risky it can be trying to go for an overtake at the inside of turn 15. It is an overtaking spot if you are brave enough on the brakes. Sometimes you just can't be a bit too brave, and you'll send your competitor straight into the Armco that Blind has just gone past. But it's all about this final corner strip. Turn 16, you want to avoid the apex curve and just really make sure you get the best exit that you can. Of course, he'll be reaching about terminal velocity when he starts his lap. But when it comes to the actual thing the next time around, it's going to be a very important corner to nail.
Yeah, it is very important to nail. line now will be the first driver to give us a lap here around the streets of Baku.
Yeah, so turn 1, just before the 100-meter board, trying to open up the apex as much as you can. Careful over the exit ripple strip. And then just between the 150, a little bit where the Emirates little wall sticks out. DRS wide open as you come through turn 2. All the way up into 8th gear. We should be approaching around 320 kilometers an hour. Braking, again, just before the 100-meter board, down to 2nd gear, avoiding the apex curve. It's very, very important that you do that in this first sector here at Baku. He does that quite nicely. 2nd gear, up through the gears once again as we head into the technical middle part of the lap. Misses the apex slightly for turn 5 and 6. He got on that apex curve, lost a little bit of time there, but you can still make out a whole heap of it through this castle section. Turn 7 really attacking the curve, and then it's just about throwing the car in. But as you can see, very cautious on this first run, stripping as you climb up the hill into turns 11 and 12. All about the exit. You can use that ripple strip this game. It was a bit touch and go in years gone by, keeping the steering nice and straight if you can, and then into this tricky braking zone of turn 15 downhill. You have to make sure that you have enough confidence on the brakes to avoid hitting the wall. One final proper corner, all about getting the best exit that you can as you got to carry that speed all the way through this final sector strip.
Yeah, this final sector, you mentioned it before he really began the lap. Absolutely critical to nail at the high speed, now approaching 310 kph as he breaks open that rear wing with the DRS in utilization to the line for the first run of the evening. 139.706 from Blind in the Williams. Next to Cross will be Laz 1, 40.405 on the medium compound tire. We have the McLarens pushing. It will be Johnny Disco, 39.561.
Oh,
and that is...
We've had a bit of an incident at turn 16. That is the Cattle King without a front wing. I think he actually got in the way of the Mercedes. I believe that would have been Larkin. Going on a lap. Probably not too happy in that Mercedes car as Graz goes into third place, which is now 4th as Larkin goes to a 39.9. Graz with a 40.1 on the medium compound.
Everybody pushing to that line. Cheery, 6th position. Dangwu, 7th position. Captain Miner now. He will come through to Cross on the medium compound tire. 40.874. Only 2 drivers out of the 8 that have set times thus far doing so on the softs.
There's a yellow flag at Sector 2 at the moment. I think that is the... Yes, it is. It's the Aston Martin of Laz 1. He's out of fuel in the middle part of the lap, so he has to be very, very careful. Baku does use up a fair bit of fuel in these cars. You can't go out with the minimum 5 kilograms that the game allows. So he has to be very careful as there are lots of fast movers on their banker lap strip coming through the middle sector.
Wordad came, well, he came 5th quickest, and then it was the Red Bulls back-to-back pushing him through as Vlad Putin went 3rd and 4th with Sidewinder, and Paula Brady at 39.545. You will be thrilled with that for her banker on the soft compound tire, leading this grid now with the fastest run here in qualifying for AlphaTauri.
Yeah, interesting to see lots of drivers on the medium tire. Unless it's changed since the last time I visited Baku, it's quite a comfortable soft to medium. But the softs, they do tend to wear out very quickly, so maybe a lot of drivers may be opting for the alternative strategy or just trying to save a set of softs in the race for a potential safety cars. Combined YouTube, as you were saying, Strip. Purple through the middle sector, we know from experience that can be quite misleading. But given the caliber of driver I know Combined YouTuber to be, he loves this place. He loves this place.
Well, you'd know him better than anybody. Known him for some time, and of course, fellow countrymen there in the land down under. Combined in the Alfa Romeo. Wow, a 39.233. How about that, Mick?
Oh yeah, Aussie pride with that one. A whole 3/10 faster than Paula Brady at the moment. So Combined doing his bit to help DX Surf seal that Constructors Championship.
Jay Forsai presently on the move in the other AlphaTauri. The number 88 car coming through into turn 5 and now 6.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how the drivers handle the castle section as the session goes further and further, because we saw on the first lap that Lion took it extremely cautiously just to make sure he doesn't hit the wall and do a Robert Kubica or a Charles Leclerc at what is a very tricky braking zone to absolutely nail, because you have to carry so much speed and usually a lot more speed than what you're comfortable with to find the lap time, because it could be close to half a second through that sequence of corners. And as the track rubbers in, as there's more grip, and as the drivers get a little bit more confident, and there's a little bit less on the line, they're going to be sending it full force through there. But if they hit the wall, no ghosting in Emerald Strip, and yeah, that could be a lot of drivers' laps ruined prematurely.
We saw a lot of struggles, not only in the qualifying, but in the race today for the Tier 4 division coming up through that section of circuit, and the ghosting being off, as you mentioned, did play a role in both sessions. And now we're actually going to see Jay Forsyth come straight into the pit lane here, not happy with what he was doing. Dieg Surf, of course, the championship leader, he is pushing through that castle section, carrying a lot of speed, looking good on the medium compound tires as well.
Yeah, the medium compound is a good starting tire for the race. It allows you to just sort of preserve the tires, and as the softs really start to wear off, just stay in that 1 second window, and then you can just really push it on softs at the end, which I believe the pace delta from around lap 21 onwards, something like 0.8 to a second per lap. But DX Surf, purple middle sector apparently, he's missed the apex of turn 16 a little bit. He won't be too thrilled with that. That's going to cost him about 1.5, 2 tenths through this final sector, where it's all going to be eyes on how he compares to his championship rival Johnny Disco. A healthy lead, but I'm sure he wants to extend that as much as he can going into the second half of the season. And what's the time going to be for our championship? Oh, it's fastest. 39.0.
Very solid run there coming out of Dieg Surf, and he joins Johnny Disco, Vlad Putin, Graz, all putting laps in on the medium for that top 10.
A few more cars out on the track. Still quite a few yet to set lap times. I see that Gorzieg is still in the pit lane, but we do have Thrills and Cattle King on their next attempts, as Cattle King has spun it at the top of the hill at turn 12.
That's an unfortunate place to find yourself spinning, but it is a difficult traction zone. Finding your way to put the power down.
Johnny has hit the wall at Castle.
Oh no. No front wing on that McLaren any longer.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He sees that time of DX Surf. Johnny, he set his time on the medium compound as well, and he sees that he has 5 tenths to make up on raw pace, and he's trying to find that, but just on that occasion pushing a little bit too hard. But he'll still have enough time to head it back into the pits and give it another crack.
Wordad pushing now on the medium compound tires.
Wordad looking to score some decent points for Williams, currently sitting in 12th place at the moment. Curious that he's out on the mediums, as Thrills is about to finish their first lap. He goes 12th fastest, just ahead of Wordad by 0.03 of a second.
Been a very solid session so far.
Get this strip. So Wordad, as we're running on board as he comes through towards the castle section, he's done that time on the softs, that 1 minute 40.3, and he's gone out on the mediums on the middle run to try and improve it. He matched his first sector time, but it's all going to be about how this middle sector has gone, because the final sector is just one corner.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he comes out through turn 15 and 16. This is where we are going to get ourselves a little bit of an idea. Oh, it's so narrow.
Well, it shows that he's got the pace in the car, as the softs over 1 lap are just so much better than the mediums. But we'll see how he goes. As Graz, no, that was Larkin, my mistake, improves to 4th fastest, right behind the lead group of cars. They 1 minute 39.3.
Well, Graz shooting into that second position as well. A very solid run from the Ferrari, as Wordad 140.262 does improve over his soft run, so that is going to stand. 11th position on the mediums. Majority of drivers now out on softs pushing laps, and as you mentioned, Larkin 4th, Graz is in 2nd, Vlad Putin, he has an improvement in hand. Nearly 7.5 tenths. Sidewinder,
Yeah, I'm just
his
watching
teammate.
Blood 10. Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that no team has tried the toe down that main straight because it's a lot of time, and in grids as close as this, that could be the difference between the front row and the fourth row. And starting position really going to put you in a good spot for the 26 lap race ahead as Vlad Putin.
Oh.
First driver to dip it to the 138.
Yeah, very solid run there from Vlad Putin, his teammate, going 5th quickest after that.
So Red Bull looking strong as well. McLaren a little bit worrisome at this stage of qualifying. Still just over 5 minutes remaining. But with both Alfa Romeos and both Red Bulls now in the top 5, both Johnny and Waffle are going to have to really pull their finger out and get a solid lap on the board. Otherwise, they're going to be in for a really tough race. I think we might have our first toe. No. Two McLarens quite close together, but no, not just yet.
Fury coming across the line now. What can the Aston Martin put up? 3rd quickest to 39.072 from Cheery.
And Cheery was with us last season. We know how strong he is behind the wheel. Struggled a little bit with consistency in the previous season. Forgive me, Strip, I'm not entirely caught up in how he's going so far in Season 5. But he's definitely got a lot of speed in that Aston Martin, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's showing us something today here in Baku, to say the least, as are all of these racers tight to that 138, and you can see Cheery not too far off. Same with Dieg Surf. Vlad Putin, of course, the only driver so far to go sub 139.
I'm just worried about Vlad Putin because he's coming into the pit lane right behind his teammate. And given how slow the pit crew maneuver, and with the clock ticking down, he might be cutting it pretty close to get another run, and he might actually be done for this session. And with Dieg Surf only 1.5 tenths behind him on the mediums. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, he set that time on the medium compound. Did our championship leader. That's quite the gap to build up during the race.
No doubt about it. Florian flying. Class 1, I do believe, on an in lap. Fairly sure. Now Florian drops his lap. He lets by Spanini, who's on an out lap. He also lets by Thrills.
Both those guys on out laps, but driver who isn't and who's about to finish is Cattle King. Still yet to set a time, but this will be his only time in the session. It's good enough for 8th place, so not a bad effort from the Haas car.
Not at all. Not at all. Not a bad effort. 39.494, 8th position. Jay Forsai, seemingly on a run as well, pushing through 13.
Yes, the AlphaTauri, one of the only drivers yet to set a lap. I don't think I've seen Gorzier leave the pits at this point.
No, and I'd be shocked to see him do so at this point. I don't think he's got time.
Oh, the game's telling us that there's a lovely yellow flag between turns 2 and 3, so we can't exactly see how much time's remaining, but yeah, it's if I thought the Red Bulls were going to be cutting it closer. Gorzier looks like he's content from starting from the back of the grid, trying to avoid the chaos, and often happens on the first lap here at Baku.
Well, here goes Jay, and that is going to solidify the rear end start for Ghazi.
Yeah, but only 18th. Jay is not going to be happy with that lap, and he's out of ERS, he's out of fuel as well to really improve on it. But 2 seconds separate the entire grid at the moment, which for a circuit like Baku is quite close, actually.
Yeah, that's not too shabby considering a lot of the 90-degree corners that people have to contend with, most notably in that first sector.
Well, it's not even just that. It's all about confidence through the middle sector, the middle part of the lap as well. You know, you've got the castle and turn 15, like I was talking about it in the pre-show. There is a lot of time to be found there. And, you know, if you have, say, 10 kilometers an hour less apex speed coming through the castle, you're losing about 4 tenths in that lap.
Oh, most definitely. Thrills right now carrying a ton of speed, looking for a major improvement. The Ferrari driver, 16th right now to the line, goes 13th, improving by nearly 7.5 tenths.
There's a lot of drivers on fast laps now as the clock continues to tick down. Just over 30 seconds left in the session, so the track flag will be dropping any moment now. Lots of drivers now also starting laps, trying to get the best of track conditions. Cattle King just trying to get out of the way of as many fast movers as he can. That was very close to the McLaren of Johnny Disco, who's on a flying lap.
Watching on with combined as well, currently 5th on this timing tower, flying, looking to see if he can contend with these guys. Vlad Putin, Dieg Surf. Of course, he mentioned he loves it around here. He's got that fuel light on.
You're running on absolute fumes. The checkered flag has dropped. So Cherry, Sidewinder, Blind, Captain Miner, Dengwo, Jay, Waffle, and Gauzy are not going to improve as combined goes to provisional pole with the 138.810, 400s faster than the Red Bull of Vlad Putin, and makes it a Alfa Romeo 1-3 at the moment.
A lot of drivers right now flying to do something about this Gig Surf. Graz. Paula Brady goes third quickest with a 38.946. Very solid run coming out of Paula.
Yeah, Johnny Disco 6th place. That's the best he can hope for. That's not what he needs in this championship fight against Dieg Surf. But Dieg Surf, I'm assuming he's going to be improving. Yes, he's up 5 tenths. This is going to be a really, really, really stellar lap.
Word at. Huge run there. Thrills to the line now in the Ferrari. No, coming straight into the pit lane. LAS1, nothing in it. Dieg Surf now.
Okay, so what's the benchmark going to be? It's a 0.17 tenths faster than his teammate. Can Vlad Putin have anything to answer? No, he's backed out of his lap, it looks like. And that will be your grid, ladies and gentlemen. So a front row lockout for the two Alfa Romeos, and that's exactly what would love to see.
No doubt about it. Front row lockout for Alfa Romeo right now, really coming to show well here in Baku. Vlad Putin for Red Bull 3rd. Paula 4th. Graz shot into 5th position there. Very solid stuff as everybody now gets things dialed into this pit lane. Checkered flag drawn. That is qualifying done and dusted ahead of round 8 MRL action for this America's Tier 2 Racing Grid. My name's Triffium here from Canada. Joining me is Mikhail from Australia. And wow, Mikhail, look at that classification right there. You got your countryman right there on the front row, combined, and his teammate on pole, Mr. Dieg Surf. What a lockout it was.
Yeah, Dieg Surf really showing who's boss around. Well, showing who owns these streets, let's say, a whole 6 tenths faster than his teammate. But if you discount just the absolute rapid lap that Dieg Surf was able to pull out, I believe it's second, all the way down to 16th, and Captain Miner all within the second. And then, so we should have a very, very tight race in the midfield. But yeah, I don't know if anyone's going to really be able to match Dieg Surf. But, you know, to finish first you must finish, Striff. And if there's any circuit where that might not potentially happen, Baku is certainly one of them.
Well, it's going to be one heck of a race here in Baku. It wasn't too far. I imagine we're going to have no shortage of spills, thrills, and all of what comes with that. This Azerbaijan Grand Prix. If we look at how Tier 4 went, we had a lot of drivers pushing some long stints on tires. We even had, I think, I'm trying to recall who it was, 22 lap medium stint. And whatever reason who pulled that off, but it was a monumental stint. Just so many different strategies here when see how things play a role here. 5 seconds counting down to formation.
Yeah, there's a very, very high chance of a safety car around here, I believe, and at least all the races I've participated in around the streets of Baku, there's always been some form of safety car, even if it's only a virtual. You know, if you've got close walls, high-speed corners, and especially when drivers are pushing flat out to try and close that gap just an extra couple of tenths, so they have enough overspeed to make a move into that first braking zone. We have one starter on the hard striff. That's Jay Fasai in 18th. Not one you usually see. The hards are a tire that most avoid around here because I believe the delta between those two is about, well, between hards and mediums, about 1.1 seconds. So an interesting strategy, but obviously trying to go extremely long and then maybe just gun it on a set of softs at the end of the race. Looks like most of the back 10, aside from Jay, starting on the medium compound.
I think that's a major safety car gamble tire right there. I think what he's doing is he's just giving himself hards so that he's started on hards, and if there's a safety car, he really leaves his options open between the two faster compound tires, and he can just go to whatever he wishes depending on when that safety car comes out. I genuinely think that's what his intention is here, and honestly, I can't blame him given the characteristics of the circuit we're in. Baku, tight, safety car potential, high. But it is Dieg Surf and combined YouTuber, the two Alfa Romeos that lead us away here. The front row lockout for this squad. Vlad Putin in third. Paula Brady in fourth position with Graz, the Ferrari, in fifth. Cheery, sixth position. Wordad in seventh. Johnny Disco in eighth. Sidewinder in ninth. And Larkin rounding out the top 10, all on the soft compound tires. Then we have LAS1 on the mediums in 11th. And then you have Spanini, bit of a soft, you know, black sheep in that medium field. Same with Jay Forsai. You have Spanini on the softs, Jay Forsai on the hards, everybody else on the mediums from Cattle King down through to Gauzier.
Yeah, it looks like Spanini, he's going to try and use the extra grip on those soft compound tires to hopefully get a better launch offline into the first couple of corners, and then just use that to try and stay with the soft runners, make up an easy position on that Aston Martin. But it's all going to come down to how these drivers release the clutch and put on the power as things are about to go dark striff.
Well, we have the 5 lights in front of us here yet to really engage, and all of these drivers getting to the grid now. Gauzier, the only driver notably in the qualifying session to not set a lap. I don't believe he came out, Mick, you were mentioning it, but of course now taking his position. Engines revving, 3, 4, 5 red lights here in Azerbaijan. It is the streets of Baku. We are away. Dieg Surf with a fantastic launch. Vlad Putin even better on the inside as we come through into turn 1. It's the Red Bull taking charge, and right now it's wheel to wheel between Dieg Surf and Vlad Putin coming through turn 2. A little bit of contact there. Vlad Putin holding station in second now, but he has had a great launch, and as has Paula Brady. You can see combined YouTuber not so much. Fourth position for the Australian, coming under fire from Graz. Wordad there, and it's a very good launch for the majority of this grid. As I say that, Johnny Disco has gone deep into turn 3.
Yeah, a little bit of a car park coming up from about 13th downwards, so a very, very large gap already, about 2.3 seconds between the top 10 and the back 10. Rules being separate for that one, but yeah, combined just didn't quite get those tires warmed up in time, and she's really paid the ultimate price for it. Down 3 positions already. Looks like he's slowed.
That's Vlad Putin, Mick, into the wall, castle section. Sorry to say it and sorry to interrupt you, but that is huge. Unclear right now whether or not Paula was close enough to avoid contact there, but I am quite positive that Vlad Putin's missing his front wing. Yes, he is.
Yeah, all these drivers are going to have to be extremely careful as Johnny looking around the outside of Paula Brady into turn 15. That often doesn't work quite as well, but looks like Paula leaves Johnny just enough space. They're still going side by side, running on board with combined YouTuber, and they have to be really careful as Vlad cannot go flat in any of these little kinks that are often easy flat out on these dry tires. So it looks like they all avoid him nice and easily. Meanwhile, the other Red Bull Sidewinder sitting comfortably in 6th place, but as the slipstream fest starts to come down, this main straight, Vlad Putin straight away into the pit lane. So after a great start, it all unfolded for him 7 corners later.
Unfortunately, some kind of desync for me with Johnny Disco. I do believe I am not picking him up, I think, in the same area on circuit as you.
I mean, one driver who would be absolutely loving this is DX Surf. He's already got, my estimate since the timing tower is playing tricks again, my estimate's about a 5.5 second gap in the first lap. So he's able to just just chill and just run away with things and secure the 25, potentially 26 points on offer here this evening.
Yeah, that is an absolute dream for him, I imagine, just being able to pull away. Timing tower right now giving us a bit of a mix-up, but we'll hopefully have that rectified within the next few laps as we come up through Castle section here.
Yeah, Johnny, though, has made up for the poor qualifying. He is up 6 places into that second spot, and he's also pulling away from Paul Brady behind him after the little mishap with Fytron. Other great winners off the start is Jay Fasai. He's up 4 places on those hards, as well as Blind up 5 places. Sidewinder and Larkin also up 4. Biggest loser, of course, Fytron, and also Spinini down 7 places in 18th and 19th, respectively, Striff.
Yeah, it's a very, very good start for a good chunk of drivers here. It's 43-126, and it seems like he is just checked out.
Here we go, combined YouTuber, his teammate, the other Alfa Romeo, trying to make amends for that poor start. Paula defends on the inside and says, not this time, to the Alfa Romeo behind her. The combine, just trying to stay with the AlphaTauri, using a lot of battery in the process, though. That might not be exactly what Fred Vasseur would exactly want, especially since he's not able to get the move done into turn 3. But DRS now enabled, and looks like the top 2 are running away with things. And yeah, my estimate was about right. 5.5 seconds, 5.4 seconds between our front 2 and our 2 championship contenders at the moment, Striv.
Very intense racing going on right now.
Yeah, he's just about to go through the castle section on my screen. And yeah, Paula not able to keep the same pace as the 2 front runners at the moment. She seems to be struggling to keep up. That gap has now grown by a couple of tenths through the castle section. Combine is going to be wanting to get past her as soon as he possibly can, because visibly there's some pace trapped behind that AlphaTauri at the moment. But a little bit further down the grid as well, it looks like Cheery getting very close to the back of Wordad in that battle for 8th place.
Yeah, very solid fighting going on between Wordad and Cheery. You want to see Cheery, Blind, Thrills. There's a big train there. Captain Minor, everybody all the way to Jay Forsai in this train. And if Cheery pushes through, he's got a decent exit.
Here we go, Striff. DRS. Combine's going to get 1. Sidewinders might try and get 2. Combine moves over to the right-hand side, gives the Red Bull the inside line. Who's going to be braver on the brakes? It's going to be the Red Bull. Oh, they get so close to touching. But Combine is able to defend around that outside. Great defending from the Alfa Romeo, as I hear a big whack behind them.
Yeah, a little bit of contact, I think, involving the Mercedes here. Raz right now 1.3 seconds behind, will want to get involved in this fight, no doubt, and you can still see Blind on the medium compound tires. He'll start to gain some time soon enough over these softs. There's a big train coming behind him.
Yeah, lap 4 of 26 now, and it's around this stage where the softs really start to feel the wear. They're very quick over 1 lap, but unfortunately they don't last nearly as long as the soft compound tires at a few other tracks, like Silverstone last week, where they seem to be able to go on forever. All the drivers just taking it nice and cautious through the castle section. I'm currently riding on board with Thrills Strip. He's currently in 10th place, and in the right smack bang in the middle of this train for the lower points places. Blind, the lead medium runner, doing quite well. Fallen a little bit off the back of Graz in the other Ferrari car, but looks like they're just keeping it nice and easy. And it's at this stage of the race where you just want to find your rhythm, settle into a groove, make sure that you don't hit any of the walls, and crucially, stay within that 1 second of the car in front.
Yeah, absolutely. Using a lot of battery right now. Thrills going to have that DRS. Stop using the battery as it brought it up. But it's again, once the DRS comes, just dancing around with it. Cheery looking for Blind. Looking for that inside. Going to be an overtake for Cheery. Blind still there with a great exit. Oh, look at this. Blind gets back through into 8th.
Yeah, so the switchback just working absolutely beautifully for the Williams car. But he's out of battery. He doesn't have any resources to defend with, and Chiri's just going to blast right by him. He tries to keep his nose in. Chiri sees and leaves the room. But that's compromised the Williams' line. And now he's coming on an attack from Thrills, and the Ferrari has a little look up the inside of turn 4, but not quite doing enough. Captain Minor as well, just sniffing the back of that Scarlet Red Ferrari, as is last one. In that Aston Martin as well. They are so close going to this middle section strip. You just hope that one of them doesn't hit the wall at this point.
Very intense racing here. Look at this. Thrills just sitting on blind. And if any of these drivers make a mistake up through Castle, and well, what has happened?
That's Jay. Jay losing positions. It's not at the castle, it's the corner before it.
That's at a 7.
Yeah, I mean, it can happen. If you hit the curb the wrong way, it's going to just knock you straight into that outside wall. But Jay has paid the price for those hards, not providing as much grip as probably he was expecting. Down there back to 17th place, but a bit further up the grid. And for the other AlphaTauri, Paula about to line up a move on Sidewinder, who has fallen out of DRS of combined YouTuber. I think we might see an undercut.
This is exactly what we're seeing.
So a few drivers to pull the pin a little bit early. DX Surf and Johnny Disco out front too, as well as Paula and Larkin to get off of those soft compact tires onto the mediums. Mediums from this stage, they will make it, but they won't be feeling too great. But I'm sure those softs weren't feeling too great either. And DX Surf's lost out. He's lost out big time. He's now behind Paula. What has happened to the Alfa Romeo pit crew? It was going so well. And now we have a yellow flag. It's Larkin. Cut straight out of the pits, cold tires. He's had a little bit of an issue at turn 2, Striff.
Saw that earlier today as well with Big Turbina. I think he went into the wall coming out of the pit lane as well and just bashing his right-hand side. Right now, such a train on the rear of Cheery coming up through the castle section. And anyone making a mistake here, it's going to be absolutely horrible, especially if it's at the front end of this train where Cheery stands.
Yeah, it's at this stage the mediums are just so much faster than the softs. Cheery are probably going to be coming in at the end of this slot because the undercut is just so powerful around the streets of Baku. So we'll see Blind probably take the lead of things. I'm going to assume that all the soft runners are pitting. They've all signaled that they're going to come into the pit lane, and then all eyes are going to be on Johnny Disco, who is leading the undercut, if you will. The nice patch of clean air right in front of his teammate. Oh no, they're staying out. All the soft runners have stayed out yet again. Graz using their DRS to get past Sidewinder up into second place, and now Cherry coming under pressure from Blind. Oh no, they're still going side by side. Striff going into the second braking zone. Blind using absolutely everything to try and get past this Aston Martin. And it looks like he might just have the run. He has that DRS. He was slightly behind, but he's out of resource. Captain Minor, he might get 2 cars in one go here. Look at that overspeed from the Mercedes up the inside into turn 3. A little bit too cautious on the brakes. He decides just one's enough as the two Aston Martins now going side by side into turn 4.
Very patient there.
Yes, he definitely had the opportunity to just send it up the inside, but playing the long game, probably smarter at this stage. He always has the opportunity to get him with DRS down that main straight.
Well, Blind, a driver that Captain maybe hasn't raced as much, and of course he wants to gauge what he can do. Maybe just poke his nose, see how the driver ahead reacts, see if he can do it once or twice, maybe catch him a third time. But based on just how the turn went, although he didn't go up the inside, had he chosen to pull the trigger there, I do believe he would have been successful.
And meanwhile, with the net leaders at the moment, DX Surf now stuck behind the other McLaren of Waffle. And you know that Andreas Seidel is going to be on that team radio to Waffle, just saying, hold him up as much as you can. But with DRS and almost a full battery in the Alfa Romeo, it's going to be Too little, too late, I do believe. But Johnny has been able to pull about a 4-second gap between his championship rival, which is absolutely critical. And I don't know why these soft guys are staying out yet another lap. Combined YouTuber and Graz both staying out one more time as DX Surf just breezes by the McLaren of Waffle. And now just all eyes ahead on catching his championship rival, who's now stuck behind Cattle King.
Vlad Patin also working to try and eye up a move on Paula Brady here. That's one thing I did notice, and the DRS and utilization for these racers.
I'm seriously baffled that these soft guys are staying out yet another lap. Because you see where Sidewinder and Shuri ended up. Sidewinder is about 5.5 seconds behind his teammate, who himself is about a second, 2 seconds, maybe even 3 seconds off DX Surf and Johnny Disco. So they've lost out heaps of time from this undercut, but they will have a little bit more tires at the end of the race.
Is that a safety car gamble? You think that's a safety car gamble? They see, okay, there's some pit stops coming through. Maybe there's going to be some traffic. Maybe there's going to be some misjudged braking points, some punting going on. Tight circuit, castle section being what it is. Maybe it's a strategical play.
I think they're just overthinking it at this point. Those softs have been done. They've been done for about 3 laps time. They've lost so much time to the guys who just pitted that slightly a little bit earlier. I mean, I think Johnny, DX Surf, and those couple that came in with the front two maybe 1 lap earlier. Oh no, there's a yellow flag. That's DX Surf and Cattle King. They're both out of the race.
No way. That's a safety car deployed. Graz was on the way in. That is a massive accident. That is DX Surf, the championship leader, out of this race. That's trending today. That happened in Tier 4 division earlier.
Well done, Baku. That's all I have to say. I wasn't even on board. I didn't see what happened, but what it looked like is that DX Surf maybe just tried to get a little bit too close to the back of that Haas through the little kinks of turns 18 and 19. And just the slightest touch, we've seen it before in seasons gone by, Strip. It's the slightest touch when your rear end starts to slide just the tiniest bit. It is so difficult to catch, especially when there's a guy right behind your rear diffuser. And so maybe Cattle King tried to correct after a little tap or just a little bit of a slide, had to slam on the brakes, and well, when you're going at about 320 kilometers an hour, that tends to be a very, very large accident.
Absolutely.
I mean, who could forget Crampy a couple of seasons ago?
Captain Minor takes a drive-through penalty, and yeah, Crampy and his crash through that section of circuit became a legend among the Misfits community. Captain Minor with the drive-through penalty is the last thing you want to be doing under safety car conditions. Wafflorian takes a speeding.
Waffle.
Oh my.
And Wordad maybe as well. He has a penalty. I don't know what for. Oh no, it's just a 3 seconds. Wordad not quite in the mud just yet. But yeah, drive-throughs for both Captain Minor and Waffle not the greatest, especially for Waffle. You know, with DX Surf out of this race, now's the opportunity for McLaren to really try and at least slightly close the gap to Alfa Romeo in the constructors' standings. We do have Captain Minor and Blind, unsurprisingly, going into the pits. Get off of those medium compound tires. The Captain's gone onto another set of medium tires. Laz onto the hards. I mean, you'd have to go for hards at this stage unless you're anticipating another safety car. Because the pit stops take up a lot of time here at Baku. Looks like they're going to come out just in front. Cherry. Yeah, just behind Cherry actually is Captain Minor. Graz just ahead. But this order is really mixed up at the moment, Striff.
Almost definitely right now I'm just having a bit of an issue as we're just trying to get the desync sorted out on the camera and have a safety car opportunity here.
Yeah, so last on the hards, in 7th place for Aston Martin. Obviously trying to go to the end after the safety car. Waffle's put on the softs. Dangwo was put on the hards, and the rest of the guys who have pitted are on the mediums. So it's a very, very interesting situation to be in. Lap 10, I do believe we'll be going around one more time as Gozieg about a minute behind the leaders at the moment. And but yeah, I'm still trying to figure out exactly what happened in that accident between DX and Kellerking, because Johnny's in the net race lead at this point. I mean, Paul has shown some really good pace, Combine's showing some really good pace, especially from qualifying. A little bit of a rough start. Sidewinder isn't too far behind them as well. And there's now an age gap, as Captain Miner has now picked up 5 seconds for a collision with his teammate, no less. So Toro Wolf going to be slamming a few decks, and there's another one.
No.
It's not decent because Larkin is leaving that gap. So yeah, 2 collisions between the 2 Mercedes under safety car. That's the last thing that they'll be wanting. And unfortunately for Captain Miner, he's taken both of those penalties. So not only does he have a drive-through strip,
he's got
he
10 seconds.
10 seconds. And he needs to pit again to satisfy the 2-tire compound rule. So he's going to be serving one of those. And
that's a big...
not fun.
That's a big problem. We do have Johnny back, at the very least on my end here, Mick, and so that's a great sight to see. Instead of having an invisible car, we now have Johnny there rightfully in second position. 41.904, the fastest run coming out of him in the McLaren.
I mean, this is a huge opportunity for Johnny because the gap coming into this race is 41 points. He's able to take the full 26. That makes it within a race win. And that's the problem when you're in a championship fight. Just one terrible race where you don't score anything. It really hampers your any kind of momentum that you had coming through, because he had some great momentum, some absolutely phenomenal drives so far this season. This looked like Baku was going to be more of the same. But yeah, super unfortunate for DX7. All he can do now is just sit there and watch as his championship rivals aim to take away 26 points from that monstrous lead that he had coming into this one.
Well, fortunately for him, it's not a turnover race. It's not a race where we saw what happened with Becky B in Suzuka, and he was unfortunately disqualified from that race, and then had to watch the entirety of that race, where not only was it was Lucas Yen in a position where he could win the race, but he had fallen back to actually bring up the hopes of the championship leader at that time in Becky, and then Lucas Yen managed to charge back through the field.
Sorry to just absolutely destroy your story, Striffer, but Captain Miner has spun. He's facing the wrong way a few seconds ago. The safety car's now coming in this lap.
No.
So,
the luck. That is unbelievable.
I don't see any visible damage. Well, actually, now I do. He's missing that left side end plate, so Captain's race is well and truly over at this rate, unless there's another safety car, which very well could happen. Very, very well could happen. And no one driver who would absolutely know that it could absolutely happen is Combined YouTuber, given the events of other leagues that he's racing here at Baku, but we won't go into those, as now the safety car is in the pit lane. It's all now down to Thrills in that Ferrari, the only driver yet to pit in this race, and he's now put his pedal to the metal, the foot to the floor, and we are racing here on lap 12 of 26 here in Baku.
Johnny Disco looking tight to his rear already, looking for every opportunity to the inside. He's just making himself extremely known. That McLaren on the fresher rubber with a fantastic exit, absolutely hunting down this Ferrari. Are we going to see the move as Vlad Putin and Larkin exchange rearward? Right now, Johnny down the inside into turn 3, getting that move done. Johnny Disco has one mission right now, and that is to charge away with a potential race win. As you said, he's holding on to fastest lap. This is 26 points in hand for Johnny Disco. Paula Brady, Combined YouTuber, looking on at this Ferrari, looking to try and get position as well. What a restart it's been for Johnny Disco already. He did exactly what he needed to do.
And now he just needs to make sure that he doesn't do what Vlad Putin did after an amazing start and hit that wall at the castle section. But it looks like most of the drivers making it through nice and carefully and no issues so far. A little bit further down the grid, it looks like Larkin really struggling to really fire up those tires, just like we saw combined YouTuber at the start of this race. The Mercedes falling down quite a few positions. Vlad Putin trying to find his way past the Mercedes now as well. But things very, very tight all the way down the grid, as you would expect on the safety car restart, as Vlad getting very close to the back of that Mercedes rear wing.
Fury Spinini. I think Churi might try to do something here with the Alpine. The Aston Martin carrying a ton of speed here. Graz on the rear of the last one. We're going to jump to Sidewinder. Oh, who do we jump to? There's so much action. It's Churi Spinini in front of them. Graz in last one. One Aston Martin drops, another gains. That brings them 8 and 9.
Larkin's going to get both of them!
Larkin up the middle.
Mercedes.
Wow.
Oh, he breaks deep. He breaks super, super deep. That's going to compromise this run absolutely massively. Chiri's going to get back past the Mercedes as Vlad Putin going around the outside of Spinini right behind them. But that was a very opportunistic move. It just didn't quite work out, as now Jay Fasai has the run on Deng Wu out of turn 2. The yellow flags as Word Out has a little bit of an issue at turn 2 as well. But man, oh man, that almost was absolutely beautiful from Mercedes there. Just broke a little bit too late, but he still gets a net position, and he actually gets past Cherry down into turn 3 as well, I think. So very, very nicely done from Mercedes.
Very nicely done, to say the least. That was a solid move, a big risk to take there, and he just seized every moment of that opportunity and got it done.
Speaking of oh, we have a yellow flag in the middle sector. It's cleared up nice and quick. I believe that's for Waffle. He might have had an issue at turn 7. But there, crucially for the other McLaren of Johnny Disco, 1.2 seconds between himself and Thrills as DRS gets enabled at the start of next lap. So Johnny now has to do what Digsurf did before and just head down and make sure you keep it out of the barriers. And that'll be 26 points taken away from his championship rival. But behind them for that runners-up spot, it's getting really, really hot as Paula Brady. Left-hand side, using that overspeed slipstream as well as a little bit of battery. Gonna fly past the Ferrari of Thrills. There we go.
Very neat move there from Paula. Combined is also trying to hunt down Thrills. Tire differential really exposing the Ferrari.
Well, yeah, Thrills, he's going to have to make his stop eventually. As he did start the race on those tires. Another driver who's experiencing a few tire compound difficulties is the one on the hard strip. Talking about last one. Currently in 9th place. Struggling a little bit to find the grip in those tires, but not doing too bad, actually, considering the difference in tire compounds to those around him. But he's got a very, very angry Red Bull and Aston Martin right behind him.
What a train we're seeing here in this field. It really hasn't given us much separation yet. Gap from leader down to Ghazi is 14.
Gauzy Egg up a few spots. He did start last, of course, not setting a time in qualifying, just trying to stay out of trouble. Has been able to do that so far. Might be hoping for maybe some fringe points if things go extremely wrong for those in front of him. But here we go, first time around down this 2 kilometer long main straight, or 2 kilometer long flat out section. We have a few flat out kinks here and there, but DRS is now going to be open for all these drivers from 4th all the way down. Look at the overspeed from combined YouTube. He's going to absolutely fly past that Ferrari, as is Sidewinder, as is Blind as well. Blind a little.
Graz overtaking Blind actually right now, and that's a solid move for Graz to really bring himself closer to his teammate. And if this is going to go according to plan for the Ferraris, there should be a changeover in position right now. If Graz has enough speed, and right now it's not going to happen.
I'm just looking at some of the ERS percentages in this train. They're all very, very low, so they might want to charge up a little bit, because the DRS very, very powerful down that main straight, as well as into turn 3. You might want to try and save up a little bit for the second half in the race, because believe it or not, that's Striff past the halfway point now.
Well, it's lap 15 and 26, and Johnny Disco needs to crucially hold this gap over Paula, because if he does not, there is a serious train all the way down to 11th position that could expose him if Paula breaks down that wall that is now, right now, 1.335.
Yeah, the AlphaTauri pushing. Both these drivers, both our front two on about the same amount of ERS. They're pretty equal on more pace. And Paula, if she's able to get in that DRS, that opens the opportunities for a race win, and it puts Johnny in a really, really tough spot. So it's going to be race critical for Johnny to make sure that she is not able to do that as the two Ferraris swap positions. Making sure that Blind isn't able to catch his combined YouTuber now with the fastest lap as he looks for a move on the AlphaTauri. This is the last thing that Paula needs, the last one that either of them need, as Johnny now pulling out a couple of tenths further in front of them. But here we go. It looks like combined.
Not the answer here.
Yeah, it looks like combined though. He's not waiting around. He wants to be the one that charges after that McLaren to the inside line. Later on the brakes, and there we go. The Alfa Romeo up into second place, but they've lost about 5 tenths or so to Johnny within that tussle. Let's see what combined can do. With the amount of ERS that he has, he might need to be just a little bit worried to keep one eye in his mirrors as well.
Yeah, definitely difficult to try and overtake, but do it in a way that you don't lose time.
Especially when the fighting for these high positions is just so ruthless, and just trying to push these drivers all the way to the edge and trying to force an error. Because even in America's Tier 2 Striff, there can be a lot of pressure cooking, as Spanini has spun around as word at as well, calling it in the pit lane. See if all these drivers able to make it past Spanini nice and easily. Yep, Waffle and Gauzy make it nice and easy past the stricken Alpine. But there we go,
Larkin.
back through the, yeah, Larkin very, very close to the back of Blind. Be sure not to tap him, as I hypothesized happened between Cattle King and Diego Surf. But you can see the slipstream, even with using ERS, Larkin was unable to really make any sort of charges. Thrills now back into the pits. Blind uses that slipstream to hold off the Mercedes for another few corners.
Well, critical here. Power differential is in the favor of Blind right now, but Larkin holding.
There we go. Paula makes her way past combined YouTuber yet again. Johnny sitting pretty in first place. About 1.8 seconds now is the gap. Paula goes a little bit deep at turn 4, I should say. Now it's 5 and 6 combined as well. Graz bring up the rear of this train. And if Blind's able to just find that little extra bit, a little bit of extra confidence for that castle section, he could be right on the back of this train as well. Looks like he's almost done that. The Williams is pushing Striff. The Williams is pushing really hard. He's gained about 2 tenths on the lead pack. Oh my goodness, he's so close to getting that DRS.
Larkin right now, Vlad Putin, Cheery, Lazwan, all on the rear of Blind. Here goes Combined. Paula, I think Combined's primed for another exchange here with Paula. 1.5 the gap to Johnny, and Combined right now to the outside.
And he wants that racing line into turn 1. Nice and easy. Larkin gets past Blind as well as Garaz and Sidewinder go side by side through turn 1. They're still going out at Striff down into the second brake zone. But Ferrari so much later on the brakes. Leaves the room though. Who's going to have DRS though? Well, the answer is going to be both of them. The drag race now between the Ferrari and the Red Bull. Back to the days of 2018. 2019 as well. Oh, Sidewinder hit the wall, as has Larkin. both of those guys going deep. Larkin losing out to both Blind and Vlad Putin as a result of that, and that must be at least a lime green wing. I mean, even on reduced damage, that was a pretty hard hit.
Yeah, Sidewinder fortunate there, I think, to not have any damage as far as our eyes can tell. Another bash there.
It's Larkin once again.
There?
Larkin losing out to Cherry. I am seeing a little bit of understeer in that Mercedes.
Oh, Blind on the inside through 13 on Sidewinder. Oh my, that's daring. And he got the move done. Wow.
Yeah, but he got it done a bit too early, though, because he could have easily just waited for that DRS behind, and now he's going to have not one, but two charging balls behind him, looking to just swallow up this Williams car. And here we go, Striff.
Vlad Putin might get to both here. This is going to be absolutely interesting.
Blind flashing, he's out of battery. Look at the overspeed from Vlad Putin to the inside. He's going to box in his teammate. They're three wide.
Wow. Blind gets robbed. But Vlad Putin, very, very massive move there from him.
Waffles had an issue on the main straight. Yellow flags there. Thrill sets the fastest lap so far, 141.5. That's what I mean. Blind, he just did that move too early, and he's used all of his ERS as well, so he has nothing to fight back with these two Red Bulls, and both of them now able to just go ahead as Blind has spun it. He's locked the rears.
That is
and
tough.
Then got a bit too eager on the power. Able to get that car turned around, but he's now out of the points paying positions and on very, very hot tires to boot.
Yeah, Jay Forsyth neatly navigating by him once he got things corrected around Blind.
But it looks like Johnny might have issues of his own. Back to the leaders. Look at that gap between Combined and Johnny's now just under a second. He's dancing on that. He's dancing on that DRS range. And Combined flying the flag for Alfa Romeo. Oh, I would love to see him just do absolutely amazing. He's in that 1 second. He's pulled away from Paul O'Brady. I saw that DXF just left the session, but he might have just left a little bit too soon, as his teammate is right in the hunt for a race win here.
Well, he's got the tires in his favor. We're on lap 19 out of 26, soon to be 20. Johnny Disco just outside of that range at the moment. No DRS for this lap into 20.
But Combined, he's putting Johnny under a lot of pressure. Johnny is losing battery. They're about the same battery percentage now. And that gap has just gone down and down and down. That pace that we saw from Combined in qualifying is now translating into the race. And he's got the fresher tires as well. It's only by a few laps, but a few laps is sometimes all that it takes. And we know all too well. I'm referring to a specific Monza race. If you remember that one, Striff.
I do. Most definitely. Versailles in there. Blind, of course, getting his tires switched.
And meanwhile, Thrills, he's made up a bit of ground on his soft compound tires, but is really struggling at this stage of the race. He's just not able to get past Deng Wu at the moment, and Deng Wu's on older hard compound tires. The pace difference on tires alone is almost 2 seconds a lap. So Thrills, if he wants to have any chance of getting more than 1 point this evening, is to get past his Alpine as quickly and as efficiently as he can.
Not an easy thing
look at that. Yep, and as I said here right now, Combined, that gap's fallen another 2/10 Striff.
Vertical here for Combined to hold that. Well, he needs to hold it here.
Yeah, they get about the same exit. 9/10 is the gap as they come towards the detection zone. Combined YouTuber has done it. He's gone into the DRS of Johnny Disco, and now he just needs to be patient and just wait and just time his opportunity to strike for that max 25 points. And I'm sure DXF would be cheering on his teammate, trying to take away points from his championship rival.
Graz pushing ahead of Paula into third position now. Provisional podium for the Ferrari driver. Johnny Disco under major threat now already into turn 3. Look at this gap closing very quickly here.
Well, that's the thing with DRS around, well, just this game in general, but especially here around Baku, it's almost a second a lap. 8/10 from memory with that rear wing opening. So combined at this point right now, I mean, we've seen the raw pace that he has through qualifying and just closing this gap. So, like, just look at this gap right now, Striff. It's absolutely incredible how much he's been able to close up on this McLaren, but there's still quite a few laps left to go in this race. Anything can happen.
Oh, I agree 100%. Blind and Jay Forsai battling a little bit right now on the fresher softs.
Another thing to note as well, the more that those two fight, because they're about to fight, they're about to engage, and Combine has to be really careful about it because Graz, that gap's closing as well.
Yeah, that is closing rapidly. Considering he just overtook Paula. Nearing 1 second the separation between the pair. He's on the same tires as Combined.
Here we go, we have a yellow flag at the castle. Looks like Jay and Gauzy Egg. Is that going to be a safety car?
Here goes
Combined gets past. Using a little bit of ERS. No, virtual safety car. Combine's just... Virtual safety car has been deployed as
right
Combined
ahead.
makes the move for the race lead. Sidewinder goes into the pit lane.
Ooh.
What is he doing? He's just given up a points paying position. He's going to put on some fresh softs to the end of the race, no doubt. But he's just given up. What is that, 8th place? 7th place? At worst?
That's tough.
And now the best he can hope for is, well, 10th. 5 seconds behind Thrills. I mean, Thrills' tires are going to die off, but he's still on softs. This virtual safety car restart is going to be crucial for both of these leaders, as it will be for Graz as well. Johnny getting very close to the back of Combined YouTuber. You don't want to be causing any drama at this stage of the race with only 5 laps, including the current lap that these drivers are on. Virtual safety car still out. The guys slowing down. Blind comes back into the session. I don't realize he left, unfortunately. Back in that car. Realize this is AI. Has put him on some fresh softs. And they will continue on their way. This is a very long virtual safety car strip.
Yeah, I agree with you here, and I have a feeling it might catch a couple people out if it should come offline in a very interesting place. There it is.
There we go.
Enabled.
No drive-throughs to speak of. That is exactly what we want, but unfortunately for the front two, Graz has gained yet another 2/10 through that virtual safety car period. As Blind now gets back into his car, that's why the intervals have now disappeared. But what's clear to see is that Johnny is gaining, and he's gaining fast on this Alfa Romeo. We're going to have a straight-out duel for the win of this race for the last 4 laps, and Graz might make it a trio. And Paula right behind them as well, trying to get back onto the podium.
It's been a thrilling race here, and there's a lot of drivers to root for in the points here. You can see only one driver with penalties as well on the grid right now, and that is Captain Minor, as Larkin and LAS1 exchange. 7th position between the pair. Hard compound tires for the Aston Martin. Fine.
What's going to be absolutely critical for these top 4 is their ERS management, because you know it's going to be an absolute drag race all the way towards the checkered flag. So whoever is able to manage their battery the best throughout this section, as well as not making a single mistake for the remaining 4 laps, I think they're going to be the ones that come out on top as Graz. 9/10. 9/10 is the gap. Graz and Paula are officially here. It's no longer a duel. It's a quartet of drivers all fighting for top place on today's podium.
Anything goes, and well, anything goes as Vlad Putin and Paula reset the track to try and avoid the mayhem, but it wasn't in time as Vlad Putin goes into the wall, and there is a major concertina effect in that section of circuit. You hate to see it, but things on lap 23 have really shaken up.
I think, fortunately, no safety car. There was a safety car at that stage. That would just really ruin the progress of the front 3. Oh, Johnny's hit the wall! Johnny has had a slide through turn 19. He's had a love tap with the wall. I don't see any damage. Here we go, combined ERS, DRS in full utilization. Here he goes to the right-hand side, breezing past McLaren as they start lap 24 of 26. Graz right behind them as well, but Graz has gotten a penalty. I don't know where he's picked that one up, but Graz has picked up a 3-second time penalty. So he is out of the contention for this race win. So we're back to a dual strift.
That is tough at the end of a race to be taking a 3-second time penalty. Fortunately, he does have an element of separation to Cheery behind him, as we now have an issue. That is the other Ferrari of Thrills coming out of turn 1. Here it comes Blind. This is going to be a position gain for him.
Johnny's struggling. Johnny's tires are going. Combined is pulling a gap. It was 7 tenths, 8 tenths, now 8.5 tenths. It's now 9 tenths strift. Combined, if he's able to break DRS, he's just in a really, really great spot to take this race win. Johnny desperately trying 1 second now. The tires are going off. We're seeing him stroll. I saw him stroll out of turn 2 as well on this current lap. 17 laps old, medium tires. They aren't feeling great at all. Graz is going to be putting him under immense pressure. Johnny using absolutely everything to try and stay in this DRS because he knows if he loses it, that's the race win. Absolutely just slipped away, gone.
Well, it's going to open him up to Graz 100% for a fight.
Gets a decent enough exit.
I don't think it's enough.
It's not enough. 1.1 seconds combined. He's using that ERS as well. He has a bit more in the tank. Combined has officially broken DRS from those behind him. Now Graz just hanging on as well. They are both on slivers of ERS. Combined doing a little bit better than those two in front, two behind him, I should say. But they have a comfortable gap. It's now Johnny 2 tenths out of that 1 second range. And now he has to make sure that he's able to just secure that runners-up spot. But that is absolutely devastating for the McLaren. But I don't know if he could sell straight. I mean, Combined is absolutely just running away with it now.
Yeah, he's in a very prime position for a race win here.
Oh, here goes Graz. Oh, Graz and Johnny going side by side. Not quite enough. I mean, if Graz is able to make it past Johnny as well, with how much he's struggling, I know 3 seconds and 1 lap is a lot, but one mistake from those tires and from Johnny, and that could be Graz in that runners-up spot.
Larkin on the rear of LAS1 right now. Some good fights unfolding, but nothing like what's happening in the front between Johnny and Graz.
Yeah, Larkin also on those 18-lap-old medium compound tires, almost struggling just as much as Johnny in second. And it's at this stage that the hards are actually, they might be the slower tire, but they're certainly more consistent with the way they deliver that mechanical grip. Just from that tread on the road, it'll be absolutely incredible as Graz, 5 tenths is the gap now. Combined well and truly out of the way. He just needs to make sure he keeps out of the wall the last 6 kilometers of this race. And it'll be an Alfa Romeo winning this race, but probably not the one that we expected after qualifying strift.
Jury with an issue coming out of 15, dropping a number of positions here. 7, 8, and 9 dropping now for him, as now Johnny Disco and Graz exchange. Graz through into second position. The penalty of 3 seconds on the Ferrari.
Dangwoo as well, on for Alpine's first points of the season. Look at the battery he's got. He's just absolutely using everything. He's now back past Blind on those fresh soft compound tires up into 8th place. So a great day for Alfa Romeo. Well, yes, a great day for Alfa Romeo, at least one of them. But a great day for Alpine, as well as Johnny Disco makes it back past Graz into turn 3.
Yeah, this is critical for Johnny. This is the final lap of the race, but look at that gap for Combined YouTuber. Really, once he got through in a very good way and pushed away a major gap to these drivers behind.
Oh, there he goes. He's made his way through the castle section. Meanwhile, in this battle for what is 5th place at the moment, actually the battle for the final points place, as Paul has spun. There's been an issue at turn 4 on the last lap of the race.
No, that is not what you want to see at all. Fury, Paul Brady involved.
But here he goes. Combined YouTuber. His teammate 7 tenths, 6.5 tenths faster than him in qualifying. Had that pole position, but gotten into an incident with Cattle King as he comes through the final kink. He can see the finish line. He does his little waves in celebration. It will be the Australian combined YouTuber taking the win here at the streets of Baku. And my, oh my, what a performance that was indeed. Johnny Disco, he tried to take as many points from his championship rival as he could, but he'll have to settle for second best behind an Alfa Romeo once again. Graz will round off the podium, and Sidewinder comfortably for fourth place, but a little bit behind that. It might still be a little bit of contention for positions. We'll have to wait and see.
Fight between Larkin and LAS1 there to the line, 3 tenths just shy, separating the pair. What a finish this race has been. What a dynamic campaign.
And after all of the issues, Vlad Putin will come around to secure the final point. Well, actually, no, he will secure the final point. I think Blind has a little bit of timing issues because he disconnected, but what a race. Well done, Baku. I say it every time I commentate this track strip. It always produces something absolutely amazing.
Well, hopefully we'll have a chance to get interviews with our 3 podium finishers here, and I'm sure you'll be looking forward to talking to combined YouTuber after a stellar campaign from the Australian to take the race win here.
I mean, I told you, he's always been very strong around the streets of Baku, and he's really shown it here today. His teammate unfortunately had the pace for an easy race win, but just had a little bit of a tangle with the Haas car of Cattle King in that final set, and that was all that it took. A big shout out as well to Dang Wu, scoring Alpine's first points of the season. I believe he finished 8th in the end. So a very, very nice effort from the Alpine to get them finally on the board, but it's all going to be on this man, combined YouTuber, taking the race win when his teammate unfortunately couldn't, and I think still extends Alfa Romeo's gap at the top of the constructors' standings as well. So even though the drivers' gap has come down, the constructors is looking more and more in Alfa Romeo's grasp.
Well, when you come through and your lead driver, and I'm not saying anything negative about combined here, but when Dieg Surf, the championship leader, unfortunately retires the car in this race, and then combined comes through to take that win, that is a major boost to your team. Because Combine was able to say, you know what, that's all right, I got this. And he came through in a major way. Great drive from him. Absolutely.
Insert cheeky comment about Perez and Bottas here, but nevertheless, a really amazing drive from Combine. So your top 3 combined YouTuber, Johnny Disco and Graz, followed by Sidewinder, Larkin, last one, Dang Wu, Thrills, Vlad Putin, and Blind. Finishing up the top 10. So Dang Wu actually 7th place, so even more points for Alpine as they finally get on the board. Unfortunate for Paula Brady in 11th. She had the opportunity to fight for that race win, but one mistake in the castle that just sort of unraveled from there. Cherry unfortunately getting caught up in that incident on the final lap as well with the AlphaTauri. He'll finish the race in 12th. Waffle in 13th. Gorzieg in 14th. Captain Minor in 15th. With Svenidi and Jay Fasai, the last of the finishers, with Wordad, Cattle King, and Dieg Surf unable to finish the 26-lap campaign strip.
Yeah, it's unfortunate about Dieg Surf in this one, but we are going to get, I think, hopefully some interviews. We're just going to double check right now to see if anyone's available. If not, we'll head on and close things out.
I mean, I certainly hope we get interviews.
I certainly hope so, but I
see... Oh yeah, we have everyone, Strip.
Perfect.
We have everyone.
Perfect. Alrighty. So with that said, we are going to jump into some interviews right now. First person, of course, up for an interview is going to be our 3rd position finisher this evening. Graz, welcome. It is another podium. You and I were talking last week, and you're back. How are you feeling after, well, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix?
Yeah, we're making this a regular thing, so that's pretty nice. That was a really fun race. Pretty much what I expected. Nice to see some newer faces up there. Definitely huge congrats to combined YouTuber. Throughout the race seemed like we kind of had the same strategy going on, so nice to see both of us on the podium.
Well, solid drive from you. Solid drive for Ferrari today. Johnny Disco collecting 2nd, combined getting that P1. How did it feel for you? We had such a solid race from you today. You had a lot of action. You had to push through the grid, get quite a few overtakes done. you looked very good in the car today. So Baku, you came in here with some major strengths, or was today a surprise drive?
I didn't think that I would be as good as I was, but definitely one of my better tracks. I think, you know, after that safety car, I didn't realize I had wing damage, so it switched out my front wing, but it made it fun coming from P9 all the way up to P3, so it definitely, you know, gave me a lot of action.
Well, second podium in as many races now coming through for next week. It is the Hungaroring. Expectations for next week? You looking good or bad for Hungary?
I have no idea. Like, absolutely zero idea for that track.
So, yet to be determined, and we'll have to see. Mikhail, any questions for Graz?
No, I mean, the only thing I would say is an amazing drive. Well, the one question I will have for you, Graz, is that when you saw that combined and Johnny were in each other's DRS and you were just slightly out of it, one, how did it feel trying to close that gap? Was just like full push? Like, what was going through your head at that point? And two, how crucial was that VSC restart for your race?
The VSC wasn't really a big deal. The problem was the 3-second time penalty that I got. I honestly had the pace. I thought I was gonna fight for first place there, had I not got that 3-second. But unfortunately, I just kind of wanted to, you know, make sure I was gonna stay on the podium, so I didn't want to risk anything.
Definitely makes
All right.
sense. Definitely. Well, congratulations, Graz. Any messages for the stream before we move on to speak to Johnny?
No messages, but congrats to combined YouTuber.
Thank you very much, Graz, and we'll see if we make this a 3 in a row next week.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, that was Graz, our P3 finisher for Ferrari. Now we are going to take a moment. We're going to talk to Johnny Disco, the McLaren racer, finishing second position at the end of this one. How are you feeling, Johnny, about this race here in Baku?
I was a bit disappointed there. I thought I could have gotten the race win, but I'm happy with P2.
Talking about strategies in this one, was there any major strategy for you in this race, or was it just kind of go with the flow, see what comes at you, see where you land in qualifying, or did you have a pretty set game plan coming in here today?
I knew I was doing the one stop, but I didn't know I was going to box so early. I saw Diego had damage, so I boxed with him because I knew I could jump in the pits.
Well, it was a solid race. Hungary coming up next. How are you feeling for round 9?
That's one of my favorite tracks, so
Well, that's
hopefully I'll have
excellent.
my pace.
Absolutely excellent to hear Hungary, one of your favorite tracks. Mikhail, any questions for Johnny after his drive in the McLaren today?
I've got a couple for you, Johnny. Number one, even though you might be disappointed with the result, it still is a net gain, as DX was unable to finish this one. So do you think you'll be able to take that momentum into Hungary? I mean, you're saying that you absolutely love the Hungaroring. But yeah, do you think you can just carry that momentum and try and close that gap even further?
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for.
All right, and the last one from me. How were the tires at the end of that race? Because I saw you had a few slips once combined got past you, and then the gap just kept increasing. Were like the tires just done at that point, or was it just, you know, a little bit too eager on the throttle?
No, the tires were done. 85% on the rears. I was nervous the last lap.
All right, thanks, Johnny. And congrats on P2 nonetheless.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Johnny, and again, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, that was Johnny Disco. Now, finally joining us for an interview, it is going to be the Alfa Romeo who started in second position, and I'm going to leave this interview to Mikhail because I have a feeling they have some kind of slang. No, I'm just joking. But, of course, it is going to be combined YouTuber, of course, all the way from the land down under, and congratulations from me to you combined. What a race win. Second position to the race win, covering for Diegser from that front row lockout. Great drive today. Well, awesome stuff.
Yeah, thanks. I didn't expect this win, honestly, because I knew that Johnny was quick. So, yeah. But it was unlucky that my teammate actually crashed out in the end.
Yeah, unfortunate for DX Surf. Had a little bit of a tangle with Cattle King as he was trying to make his way back through the field after a very slow pit stop. Just what are you feeling after this insane race combined. You know, there's been a couple of tough Baku races recently in your career. So how does it feel to be on the top step for this one?
Well, I don't really have any words, really. It's, I didn't expect it at all. So, yeah, but it's nice to have a win or have some success here after, yeah, you said that the races had here and have not been very good, so...
Yeah, was it always your plan to go as long as you did on those softs? Because we saw that your teammate DXF, as well as Johnny, pitted very, very early from his softs, but yet you stayed out, and you were able to stay out until that safety car, unfortunately, between your teammate and Caddy.
I think he got some damage. That's why he pitted early, possibly.
But was it always your plan to go as long as you did? Because I was honestly surprised you went so long on those tires.
Well, I was trying to do soft medium, so yeah.
Yeah, okay. And just last one from me. What was going through your mind when, you know, you were catching, you could see that Johnny was starting to struggle a little bit. You were just outside that DRS range. Just what was going through your mind at that point? Was there any, the thought crossed your mind like, hang on, I could win this race?
Yeah, I definitely thought that I had a chance to win. But I just didn't expect him to be as slow as he was. Like, I know he's a very quick driver, and I honestly didn't expect to catch him, but, well, I was proven wrong there.
And just before I'll fan you off to Strifium, Hungaroring next week, obviously one of the tracks you're quite experienced with. I know there will be one of your big fans probably in the chat next week cheering you on at the Hungaroring. So how are you feeling for that one? Do you think we'll see a similar performance from you in Hungary next week?
I like the Hungarian track. I'm not sure about a repeat of this, but I hope to do well nonetheless, and I don't think the certain person you're talking about will actually be awake for it.
Well, you might have to tell them to be after today's result. Strifium, any questions for our race winner here this evening?
I am absolutely good. I think, Mick, you wrapped up everything just again for me combined. Excellent drive from you starting second. You pulled things perfectly to really wrap things up after DXF's unfortunate crash. And, well, he was poised to take a potential win. You came through behind him and you snatched exactly what the Alfa Romeo team needed to push through in the standings. So, excellent drive again.
Yeah, thanks.
Alrighty, that is going to be it for us in this one. Mikau, what a race. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And of course, your fellow countrymen taking the race win here. It was an absolutely excellent campaign. Any last remarks from you before we wrap things up ahead of tomorrow's Tier 3 racing action?
I mean, I know Seb's going to have an absolutely amazing time tomorrow with AM Tier 1 after Tier 3 at this time slot. Of course, you have Lucas Yan and Becky B. Becky B typically has been very strong around street circuits, absolutely loves them, and he's definitely looking to make amends after the disaster that was Suzuka last week. So you won't want to miss it. I mean, Baku, just wow, just wow.
Well, excellent race from everyone this evening, and thank you to you, Mikau, for joining me in the commentary booth. That's going to be it from us, everybody. We're going to head out with a raid and, of course, the outro, and we will be back tomorrow. And so see you then for more racing. Ciao, ciao for now.